I've been playing an incredibly charming indie game called Knights and Bikes, which is made by a company called Foam Sword, which is made up of ex-members of Media Molecule, so you can sense the pedigree right away when you jump into this thing. I played it on the PC, but it's coming to the Switch very soon, and I think that this would make an absolutely perfect Switch game. I did play this with my daughter, and she had a friend over, and they were absolutely mesmerized, both very entertained by this game, and they had to go somewhere. They had to go and see a movie, but they didn't want to leave the game. They wanted to keep watching this very cool game. It's a co-op adventure title, and I think it was made with the idea of being something like a Secret of Mana type of experience. And what you're doing is you're cruising around and exploring this expanding island environment. You start off in this caravan, which is connected to this golf course, and then you go into little towns and sort of rural areas. You go into a junkyard. You encounter all kinds of crazy little characters, which evoke some of the characters that you would see in games like Little Big Planet, or especially Media Molecule's underappreciated Tearaway. Nessa and Demelza. These are two cute little kids that have different types of attacks than you would normally see with action RPGs. There's no swords, there's no bows and arrows. You get a plunger every once in a while that drops like little plunger mines that will explode. As Demelza, you can actually kick the mud and splash different enemies and stuff, or jump up in the air and jump into the puddles and splash the puddles everywhere. As Nessa, you have the ability to throw a frisbee at different targets, and you can power that up and drop that, or water balloons later on to put out fires. There's a quirkiness to the story that unfolds, but there's also some darkness as well, as we're uncovering a little bit of Demelza's past. She's got an interesting relationship with her father and some memories of her mother, and we start to uncover some of what's gone on there. So there is, I guess, like a heartfelt tone to all of this, but really what this represents is a very accessible and approachable action RPG that you can play with a kid. Bikes is in the title, so one of the cool things that you can do, obviously, is ride around as Nessa and Demelza. And those bikes are actually a really cool key component to defining the character. There's a ton of customization, which you would expect from a game from people that worked on Little Big Planet. So you can go in and you can customize the chain guards, you can customize the handlebars, you can put a little element on the front of the bike, paint it up however you want. There's tons of, little quirky details that you can put in there. And the way that you pay for everything is really charming as well. You're just collecting, how kids just collect all kinds of little things like rubber bands and stamps and little coins and things like that, and they just have a collection of stuff that's basically what you like trinkets. You basically turn in your trinkets and you can unlock all kinds of customizable elements in this game. I was actually surprised at how large the world was, because right away when you start to recognize that the bikes give these characters quite a bit of mobility, you understand that this little indie team that put this together had to create lots and lots and lots of area for these characters to go. At first it feels a little hemmed in when they're all on foot, but when they both have the ability to jump on bikes and cruise around, the world gets quite expansive. And I was really impressed by that. There are some issues where you don't quite know what's accessible to you on screen or not, and it feels like there's a little bit of an invisible wall type scenario, and I always disliked invisible walls, if anybody's been watching me for a while. And that got a little bit annoying, but I was impressed by the imagination that was on display, particularly in the golf course areas, where every hole had, a different scenario or a different puzzle for you to solve in order to knock down a barrier to keep accessing all kinds of stuff. And there's a lot of elements in there that really encourage cooperative play. So this is definitely one that you're going to want to share with somebody else. And the music is actually composed by Daniel Pemberton, who just recently worked on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's not that kind of cinematic caliber, but it's definitely cool, and it's a nice mishmash of all kinds of different styles. The music amps up as the characters have to race away on their bikes. definitely a great fit on Nintendo Switch. What's great about this game too is that it's available on every platform. Definitely deserves your attention, especially if you are into the family-friendly kind of stuff, and I certainly am. Hats off to you, Foam Sword. You made something very special. And from what I understand, this is being expanded into books, into animated series. This is getting to be a big deal, so congrats on that. I'm going to give Knights and Bikes an 8.5 out of 10.